Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I am in DCS World, as you may have guessed, and I'm going to take a look at a few of the planes, or at least the three planes I think are the best at nighttime in DCS World, via the 2.5.6 open beta version. And this is where we are today in open beta, and a couple versions ago they had updated the lighting in the Tomcat, and I did a couple of videos detailing the Tomcat, the Hornet, the Viper, and I was going to take a look at a couple others, but there are 2D videos of those up there already, and they look really fantastic. And I wanted to cover this in VR. So here we are in the Tomcat. Pretty impressive. It definitely looks the part. Let's jump into the back seat. And one of the cool things is this is the Rio position here. Looks fantastic. And you can kind of poke your head up and look into the front seat to see what the guy in front of you is doing. There is a little bug apparently where that throttle is bouncing back and forth up there. But I feel like I could reach out and touch that ejection seat, but it's actually my monitor in front of me that I'm touching. Then if we look over his shoulder over here ahead a little bit, you can look into the cockpit in front of you. Pretty cool, man. VR is a mixed bag right now in DCS because performance-wise, since 2.5.6, it's really had a tough time. But it's basic math. As you add new things to DCS, especially visual improvements, it's just going to take a little bit more horsepower to handle that. And because of that, I've really had to turn things down in VR to achieve reasonable performance. And because of this, the video quality is lacking the detail that I'm used to on my 2D flat panel. So I tend to enjoy Track IR with my 49-inch super ultra widescreen monitor more than I do VR anymore. It's just tough in DCS to enjoy right now, because I've seen what it looks like both ways. But I am using the Oculus Tray tool to handle my pixel density right now. I've set it at 1.4. It seems to just give me a hair better performance than 1.5 was. And system specs is an i9 9900K running at stock speeds, 32 gigabytes of PC3000 DDR4 memory, running off of a terabyte SSD, Western Digital terabyte SSD at that, so it's a good one, and a 2080 Super GPU with 8 gigabytes of VRAM. So this is definitely a high-end system, and things are definitely still lacking, unfortunately. And again, this is why I've really enjoyed my 2D flat panel more than anything at the moment in DCS. But the depth perception is really hard to match in VR, and that's why we keep going back to it. And the other thing that VR has over 2D is that I can really naturally pan my head around the cockpit and see everything at a natural and smooth pace. Granted, in VR there are micro stutters that occur, but that's more when you're looking down at the ground and you're trying to fly at the same time, because you're looking at all those objects trying to load and keep up properly. But just looking around the cockpit is a rather smooth and more natural experience than what Track IR is. Track IR is fast and not slow by any means, but it just seems a little slower to me. And in VR, panning your head around is just more natural to me. Let's take a look externally what we have. Now, one of the things that really impresses me with the Tomcat, and always has, is the afterburners. Once you light those cans, Not only do you pick up speed crazy fast, but it looks amazing. This is really by far the most impressive afterburner effect in all of DCS. Especially from this little F4 angle right here. And it's more pronounced at nighttime, I think, too. And by now you all know that the Tomcat really is my favorite module in DCS, so I'm a little biased, I guess you could say. So let's take a look at the Hornet now. Alrighty, and here we are in Eagle Dynamics' flagship product, the A-18C Hornet. And let me grab the floodlights and turn them up, and all of a sudden this cockpit really comes to life. Now, I know I've said before that the F-14 was the most beautiful at nighttime in DCS, and I would have to say at this point it's a tie with the Hornet, because I really like the red lighting in the Hornet, or in the Tomcat. I like more than this, but how you can turn on these floodlights and it brings everything up to like a more manageable level of illumination to really make things out and not have to, just see green everywhere or red everywhere. I think that really adds another level of visual splendor, and it looks really good in VR, which is nice. And again, let's take a look around. See out over the wing over there. There's a lot to like about this. And one of the other things that really impresses me, and again, I'm not surprised by this because this is their flagship, is how I can look inside of the cockpit from the external view and see how the cockpit is illuminated. You can see those displays in green and the main display in the middle there, and then as I pan around, you can also see the side panels illuminated. That is really impressive, and I would hope that the Viper ends up getting that level of detail eventually too. That would really be nice. But considering the Viper is another Eagle Dynamics product and they're sharing assets, I think that's going to happen eventually. But that is really cool, and that's something I'm hoping they add to the Tomcat eventually too, to be able to look externally and see things lit up in the cockpit. Pretty impressive stuff. All right, let's jump in and take a look at the Viper. All right, and here we are in the F-16C Viper. I really like the green in this cockpit and how it's illuminated. These are my top 3 right now in DCS. It really does look fantastic. Let's take a look around. Amazing. If you would have told me 20 years ago this is where we would be, I would have laughed. I mean, even in 2D with a track IR, this looks really good. Actually, it looks better, to be honest, but the depth perception isn't there. And the other thing is, and this is the part that's really annoying me right now, is actually 2 things. The first thing is recording in VR is really a pain in the ass. OBS is the only thing I'm able to use, and half the time it records right, the other half time it doesn't. If you don't have everything set just right, the video turns out a lot worse than what it actually looks like in use. So like I could be getting 32 to 40 FPS and it looks like 10 FPS in the video. And that tends to happen when I don't set my monitor to 60 hertz. And if I don't have VSync on within DCS for some reason, everything goes a little haywire. And even then, the video still doesn't look perfect as it does when I'm actually playing it in real time. And then sometimes you record things and it just doesn't record right, or it comes out shitty. VR is a real pain in the ass to record, for me at least. And then the second thing is, it's summertime, and I use an Oculus Rift-S. I bought a newer replacement padding for it a while ago. I think it's ASMVR from Amazon. It's a leather padded replacement face piece, where the headset goes against your, your forehead and your nose and whatnot. And it's nice in a sense that the old Rift-S padding was softer, and it was a porous foam, so it really soaked up the sweat and got nasty pretty quick. This new one, it's harder and pressed against your face for longer than 10 or 15 minutes at a time. It's very uncomfortable. And the other thing is, it's summertime, and even with the room with air conditioning, it gets hot and sweaty really quick because the display itself generates heat. So VR in summertime flying, oh man, I feel bad for people. I can't see how you guys can do this for long periods of time, because to me it's very annoying and hot. And it's hard for me to leave the AC on in the room since it's so close to my desk, so you would hear that in the background when I would record, or even put a fan on me because you would hear that as well. So it's just a more uncomfortable experience, and the sacrifices that we make to bring you guys content, I think at times too, is something to be mentioned. But that is another reason why I'm not enjoying VR quite as much as what I could have right now, because it is the beginning of July, and we're having some 90+ degree days now in Pittsburgh, and yeah, it just gets a little yucky. But I really wanted to do another VR video because I haven't done one in a while, and I wanted to show you the differences in lighting at nighttime in VR in DCS, because I have done the 2D videos already with Track IR and my super ultra widescreen monitor. So this is what it's looking like right now, guys. One more thing to look at, the external here. So again, in the F-16, you don't have all of that extra detail of being able to see the cockpit lit up like you do in the Hornet, but I think it'll get there in time. It does have a rather impressive afterburner effect. And there are some external lights that I didn't turn on because, yes, I was just lazy. But I really don't want to sit here in this display for too much longer because it's pretty hot, and it's getting to be a little uncomfortable. So I'm going to leave it at that, guys. So this is DCS World 2.5.6 Open Beta, and this is some of the lighting improvements you can find at the moment if you're running the Open Beta. And these are my top three planes or modules in DCS that I think look the nicest at nighttime. So give it a shot if it's something that you want to check out. So overall, I think VR is kind of acceptable at the moment, but things could be better. And again, adding to the fact that it looks nicer in 2D and your face won't melt, kind of makes it a little bit more attractive for me in the summertime right now. So I'll try to get you guys some more VR videos pretty soon. But I'm looking forward to the Reverb G2. I've seen a lot of good things about it. I'm using an Oculus Rift-S right now, and man, that G2 looks amazing, but I just can't wrap my head around how that's going to perform, because performance-wise, it's just basic math. The displays on the Reverb G2 are supposed to be almost double that of the Rift-S. So how can you tell me that you're going to give me twice the visual detail and it's not going to cost me more performance? Because it's hard enough to get good performance out of the Rift-S. So how are you going to make the Reverb perform as well as the Rift-S and look better? It's just something that I have a hard time wrapping my head around. But people that have the Reverb, the first generation, love it to death and swear by it. And I saw some video the other day that I posted in one of my news videos of a YouTuber that has his hands on a new Reverb G2, and he was looking at DCS in VR, and it really did look impressive. So, and it didn't look jerky either. So I'm not quite sure what he's using, or if it's just better, if it's just a more efficient headset. But I am looking forward to checking that out in the near future, because maybe VR would get more enjoyable for me if it looked better. Because that's one of my other main gripes, is I have to turn everything down to super next to nothing just to get good performance in VR out of my Rift-S. Yet I can use my Track IR on my super ultra widescreen monitor and have all the visual quality I want and see everything perfectly clear and have amazing performance in DCS. So there is that. So I'm going to leave it at that, guys. So as always, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. Feel free to hit that like button. And until next time, guys.